Alright, the video stopped at a good time there because I had the wrong figure. We're going to leave guided practice 1A alone, but let's go ahead and go back and erase the figure that you had for guided practice 1B. And let's just start over on that and use the correct figure here. Okay, so still going to be the same thing. No matter what the figure is, we're taking the same approach. Okay, that's why I said leave 1A alone. It's all the same concept. So, but let's use the correct figure here. And we've got angle 3 and angle 11. So I always want to identify what lines I'm dealing with. And in this case, it's line L, line M, with transversal A. So all of this over here is insignificant. I don't care about any of that. I'm looking at only these angles here, and specifically angle 3 and angle 11. So they're on the same side of the transversal. This is going to narrow it down to either corresponding angles or consecutive interior. Well, angle 3 is interior, angle 11 is not. So they're obviously not consecutive interior. That means they have to be corresponding. So that's my first order of business, is find out what's the relationship between the two angles. And in this case, angle 3 and angle 11 are corresponding angles. Well, the given information told me that angle 3 and angle 11 are congruent. So with the information that I have now, I can say since angle 3 is congruent to angle 11, and I know that they are corresponding, which I've already stated, what can I say? I can say that line L is congruent to line M. Okay, so line L, I'm sorry, not congruent, parallel to line M. And what did I use? I used the converse of the corresponding angles theorem. Again, identify the relationship, and then based on the relationship, tell me what lines are parallel, if any, and then justify your statement. Tell me what theorem or what converse of what theorem that you're using. We'll do one more like this together. Same figure, different angles. So now I have angles 12 and 14. These are the two that I'm looking at. So let's narrow down what lines I'm concerned with. Well, angle 12 belongs to line A. Angle 14 belongs to line B. And now my transversal is line M. Okay, so I'm only looking at the bottom 8 angles. None of this up here is any of my concern. So what kind of angles do I have? Always my first order of business, define the relationship between the angles. They're on opposite sides of the transversal, meaning alternate something, and they're exterior. So angle 12 and angle 14 are alternate exterior angles. I also know, because of my given information, that angle 12 and angle 14 are congruent. So since they are congruent, what can I say? I can say that line A is parallel to line B. So A parallel to B. And what did I use to make my claim? I used the converse of the alternate exterior angles theorem. Define the relationship then use that statement along with your given information to tell me what lines are parallel, and then justify it with a theorem. And so what I want you to do, I'm not going to have a quiz on Socrative attached to these videos. So part of what I'm going to check on Monday to make sure that you watched your videos is guided practice 1D, 1E, and 1F. Okay, so I want you to take a minute, go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to do guided practice 1D, 1E, and 1F in the same format that we just did 1A, 1B, and 1C. Okay, and this is the figure that goes along with that, and it is in your book. Okay, so go ahead and pause and do these guided practice examples in your notes, and we'll talk about those together on Monday. All right, moving on now to going back to the two-column proof format. And I'm still going to be using the same theorems or converse theorems, but now I'm going to be using a two-column proof format as opposed to just the informal, let's kind of state what's going on with a couple of sentences. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our two columns here. I don't want stuff just floating around. I want a vertical line and a horizontal line dividing my statements from my reasons. A first statement, always, whatever you're given is. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. First reason, always given. And so, what do I know from the given that's going to help me move towards what I've been asked to prove? Okay, well, if I'm trying to prove lines parallel, it's going to fall back on a lot of the same theorems that we were just using. Okay, so angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 doesn't really tell me anything by itself. Okay, so I'm moving away from that to what do I know looking at the figure about angles 1 and angles 2. Is there anything else special about those angles? Do I know their measurements? Is there some sort of special relationship? Anything that could possibly help me get to where I want to go, which is that these two lines are parallel. Okay? So the relationship that exists here is that angle 1 and angle 2 are alternate exterior angles, okay, which is the same statement that I started with before, but now I'm in a two-column proof format. So what would be my justification then for that statement? It's just a definition of alternate interior angles. Not interior, exterior. Okay, so the definition of alternate exterior angles is my justification for my second statement. These are the two statements that we used before, and that was enough then to say that the lines are parallel, and it's enough now to say that the lines are parallel. So if I know that these are congruent, and I know that they are alternate exterior angles, then I can say line L is parallel to line M. And what allows me to say this is the same thing that allowed me to say it before. It's just in a different format now. It is the converse of the alternate exterior angles theorem. Okay, so the same thing, only in a different format. Okay, so let's do one more, but in the two-column proof format. So go ahead and jot down all of your given information in the figure here and get your two-column proof ready with your vertical line and horizontal line dividing your statements from your reasons. First statement, always, whatever you're given. Angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. What's my reason for that? As always, because it was given. All right. So, again, what does this tell me? How does this help me get to where I want to go? And in and of itself, this statement doesn't help me at all get to where I want to go. I can't, just based on this fact alone, that angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, tell you that these two lines are parallel without making any other statements. Okay, so the statement that I want to make here goes back to the relationship that exists between these two angles. Okay, I know they're supplementary. I also know that they are consecutive interior angles. So again, just like the previous examples, I'm going to state what I know to be true, and then I'm going to state the relationship between the angles. Angle 1 and angle 2 are consecutive interior angles. And how do I know this? Because I know the definition of consecutive interior angles, which tells me that two angles on the same side of a transversal that are interior are defined as being consecutive interior. So definition of consecutive interior angles. So then my third statement, hopefully you can guess this. If I know that these two angles are supplementary and I know that they are consecutive interior, then I can say that angle or line L is parallel to line M, and I'm using the converse of consecutive interior angles theorem. Okay, so all the example problems that we did in this PowerPoint are the same type problems. We're just using different formats to do our proofs. Okay, so the first few was basically just going through the thought process and then putting it into a two-column proof after that. Okay, so make sure again that you've got guided practice 1C, 1D, and 1F done in your notes. And we'll talk more about those on Monday. And we will continue on with our two-column proof conversation. Hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday.